I don't know that I can put it into words. It's too much for the mind. It's too much for the body.
Welcome back to another episode of Closer Look across the Village Media Network with Michael Friscolati, our editor-in-chief here at Village. I'm Scott Sexsmith. Tonight, a very difficult but also very important conversation about a story that's making national headlines.
Yes, this is a story out of Burlington, a Burlington family. It's been covered on our site, Burlington Today. It's just a tragedy, Scott. A young boy, 16 years old, like so many kids have been taken by their parents to the emergency room at Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital and spent 8 hours there waiting for care and ended up passing away. It's just an awful story of what a family has endured, but what's making it newsworthy is that this family is fighting for change.
Yes.
The Vander Werken family, the boy's name was Finlay Vander Werken, a high school student in Burlington. And his family is fighting for change so that other families don't have to go through this. So they're requesting a coroner's inquest. They have a petition that they're signing for what they're calling Finlay's Law, where they would legislate minimum requirements for how quickly a child would have to be seen in an emergency room.
Of course, yeah.
Trying to make changes like that. They've also filed a lawsuit against the agency that runs the hospital there, all in pursuit of changes to the system to make things better. And as you mentioned, this case has made news all over the country because a lot of people see it as sort of a shining example of just how bad the system has become at emergency departments across the country. And so a lot of people are watching this case closely. A lot of people are joining in on the fight, to use that word. And we've asked Hazel Vander Werken, Finlay's mother, to join us on the podcast tonight to talk about her son, to talk about what happened to him, but also to talk about why they've taken this huge burden on to try to fight for change at emergency departments across the country. I think it's going to be a very powerful conversation, hopefully an educational conversation for people who may have read about this story in the news, who may have caught wind of what's happening, and really just a glimpse into, how hard it is to change things. To take on that fight is a massive, and we assume to be a years-long burden, something that they're going to be fighting for a long time. So we're very grateful that Hazel's going to join us tonight.
We're very grateful to be joined tonight by Hazel Vander Werken, a very brave mother who's determined to help improve our healthcare system in honor of her teenage son who tragically passed away last year. Hazel, thank you so much for agreeing to speak with us. We really appreciate the opportunity to have this very important conversation.
Thank you for having me on.
Hazel, can we start by talking about your son? What kind of person was Finlay? I know that's a very difficult question, but when you think of him now, what memories stick out?
Oh, goodness. Finlay was... he was kindness personified. He cared a lot about his friends, his family. He was a teenager that loved deeply for someone his age, in so much how much he cared for the things that were important for him. But he also liked to do gaming. He liked to play hockey. He was a typical teenager in that respect, and he had a deep love for animals. He wanted to be a vet. So
that was his dream, to be a veterinarian?
Yes.
And he was your eldest child, correct? 16 years old?
Correct, yeah.
And what was that? You have two other kids, Hazel?
Yes, I have twin boys.
So a very busy household.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. Any other memories, Hazel, that just stick out? Like anything that just helps people who are listening today to understand the kind of kid he was?
Finlay had a strong sense of justice and fairness. So he would always be the kid that kind of stuck out for his friends if they were, needing help, and would spend any amount of time that was needed just to be with them.
Hazel, I want to go back to February 7th, 2024, if we can. You took Finlay to the Oakville Trafalgar Memorial Hospital. Can you tell us why you made that trip?
Finlay had been suffering for a few days from a migraine. which wasn't totally uncommon. He did suffer from them now and again. And typically when he did have a migraine, it was hiding something behind it, like a cold, a virus, a bug. So he had a migraine and a bit of a cold. However, on the Wednesday, he started to complain of pain, and to the point where after 9 o'clock in the evening, he cried out in pain, which led me to immediately get him in the car and drive to the hospital.
And you'd never seen him like this before?
No, I mean, his migraines could be bad for sure, but this crying out in pain was totally out of the normal.
So it's late in the evening when you head out to the hospital. Can you kind of walk us through what happened after that?
So we got in the car, and things progressed really quickly whilst we were in the car. And the pain, it was obvious, was getting worse. He was looking at me. I can only describe it with pleading eyes. And I just remember thinking, I've got to get to the hospital, and I've got to get there now and quickly, and praying that every light we came across, that, didn't turn red. And when we arrived at the hospital, I didn't even consider parking. It was a case of just abandon the car and get him in as quickly as possible.
Wow. So you left the car just in the front and went into the emergency room?
I did, and just asked for help. There was a small queue of people waiting for triage, and I went in. Finlay was doubled over, and I pressed the big red button that said emergency.
And did someone see you right away? What was their assessment initially of him?
Well, after pressing that big red button, a lot of people came out from all directions, asking who had pressed the button and why, and not happy at all that button was pressed, whilst, people who were waiting in the queue to be triaged were getting a wheelchair for Finlay and helping us.
And so you could tell right away this wasn't something that gradually happened. He was in rough shape when he first got there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so did someone – oh, sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead, Hazel.
No, I was just going to say that whilst I was being admonished for hitting that red emergency button, Finlay in the wheelchair just said, please help me.
Unbelievable. As a parent, as a mother or father, just dealing with that is so stressful. Yeah. I can't imagine what's going through your mind as you're trying to figure this out.
There's a lot. There's a lot of emotion there.
Absolutely. So was he eventually seen, triaged, and what did they say? They put him at sort of on the fast track, so to speak, Hazel?
Yes, they saw us very quickly, which I was grateful for. Not aware at the time what triage level he had been given. That's not something that was in my mind then. I of course now know that he was triaged at the level 2, the CTAS level 2, which is below level 1. Just for context, is if you are needing resuscitation.
Wow.
So level 2 is for emergent care. And really identifies that, there's potential for acute deterioration.
And it's my understanding that that's the level you get, you're going to be seen pretty quickly. That's supposed to be the standard.
Absolutely, yes. The recommendations that are given out are that if a patient is triaged at level 2, then the hope is that they will be seen by a physician within 15 minutes. Also, from a nursing perspective, that if somebody is given this level, that they will be assessed every 15 minutes.
And was that the case, Hazel?
Yeah.
No.
What did happen?
We were, after triage, we went through to the emergency department, and it was just full with people.
Mm-hmm.
The halls were lined, and we took a seat. Finlay was still in so much pain, and he was crying out in pain, which he definitely never does. He doesn't like to make a fuss. And I would go up several times whilst we were sitting there, asking for help.
Hazel, how much time did lapse until Finlay was actually seen?
8 hours and 22 minutes exactly.
Wow, that is unbelievable. And by the time they did see him, Hazel, what kind of condition was he in? What did the doctors say to you?
When we were seen by a doctor, things happened really quickly. I think as soon as the doctor had seen his charts, he immediately knew exactly what kind of emergency he was dealing with, because the record showed that Finlay's oxygen saturation had been deteriorating all night. So he was given a chest X-ray immediately, and it was confirmed that he had pneumonia, a bad case of pneumonia. And at that point, you think, "Oh, okay, it's a pneumonia. It's okay." That hope didn't last long as things progressed.
And the decision was made at some point soon after that to send him to SickKids Hospital in Toronto, correct?
Yes, there was a call put out to both SickKids Toronto and McMaster SickKids, and it was a question of who could get there the fastest.
And what happened, Hazel, once you got to SickKids?
Before we got to SickKids, SickKids came with the full team because of the deterioration. He was in ICU by then. We're just several hours into the Thursday morning. And whilst they were trying to get Finlay ready for transportation, he had a cardiac arrest.
Still in Oakville, that happened?
Still in Oakville.
Yeah.
And then once they managed to get him ready for transport, we headed off to SickKids in Toronto.
Hazel, this is a difficult question to ask, but at this point, I just can't imagine as a parent what you're going through, because you've taken your child to the emergency department, you've waited all night for this kind of care, and it's just getting progressively worse. Do you even remember what was going through your mind at that time between the transfer from Oakville to SickKids?
Terror. Mm-hmm. I was in a complete state of terror. Mm-hmm. Sitting in the ambulance at the top, Finlay's head right beside me, and all of those doctors just ready to pounce in case anything happened. So I can't. Terror is the only word that I think that conveys a little bit of how that felt.
Yeah, and you eventually get to SickKids that day. And were you able to speak to him on the ride there? What happened when you got there?
Finlay was intubated early on in Oakville, so only a few hours after seeing the doctor. That was the last time that we saw Finlay conscious.
I'm so sorry, Hazel. Can you tell us when you got to SickKids what happened? Did you see teams right away? What happened when you arrived there?
It was like something out of a movie, really. Just doctors coming out of everywhere. I don't know. There must have been about 20 people. They just got him in immediately into surgery, and which was the only thing that was possible. And as a last resort to save his life was to put him on an ECMO machine, which is life support. It takes over the function of heart and lungs.
And it's at some point, Hazel, the doctors came to you, if I understand this correctly, to tell you that there's not much more they can do. that there you have a difficult choice to make? How did they say that to you?
They were great at explaining. They would constantly through the night come and give us updates, but after several hours, it was clear that despite being on the ECMO, it was not having the desired effect in oxygenating his blood, and that really there was nothing that could be done, and that we would run the risk that Finlay would wake up and die very painfully and being aware of it.
I'm so sorry, Hazel. I just can't imagine being given that news, especially just the way things deteriorated so quickly.
Hazel, there's no good way to ask this question. Your son passed away after something that every single parent has done, and that, of course, is bring their child to the emergency room. Can you even begin to describe for us hearing that news that your son couldn't be saved?
It didn't feel real. It was a living nightmare. Just the shock, it's just disbelief. I don't know that I can put it into words. Mm-hmm. It's too much for the mind. It's too much for the body.
Mm-hmm. And again, our deepest condolences, Hazel. We don't at all think this is an easy thing to chat about. No. And I think you're very brave for speaking the way you are. And obviously that's what you're doing now is you're trying to turn what happened to Finlay into something good and to make the system better for others, especially other children. Can you talk about that? Finlay's Law is your goal. What are you hoping to do, you and your family?
Well, we started Finlay's Voice because he didn't get that voice when he needed it. And we do have Finlay's Law. And Finlay's Law is really just the start of tackling reform that needs to happen within the emergency departments. Everybody knows how bad and how long the wait times are. But yet we seem to be complacent because nothing has changed. And this is not a problem that has just started in the last few years or even COVID time. This is something that has been progressively getting worse. Mm-hmm. And for us as Finlay's parents, it doesn't even feel like a choice. It feels like we have a responsibility to help with that change and to help make sure that things are reformed and things are done.
So Hazel, if I can ask you, what would that look like from your perspective? What would the maximum time be, for example?
Oh, that's $1 million question. I mean, for me, I'd say immediately, but mm-hmm. We have to be realistic. What that number looks like, I think, involves having a lot of conversation around. It will depend on the severity. These triage levels have to mean something. Mm-hmm. Why do we have standards? Why do we have this and have had it since 1999, and we don't comply with it? So we have to look at the levels and really be realistic of how quickly does a child is very different from an adult and is much more vulnerable, and we need to take that into consideration.
Have you had a chance to speak with anyone in the Ford government?
I spoke with a couple of local MPPs here, and we have been reaching out to Ministry of Health, and we now actually have an appointment to sit down with Sylvia Jones and to discuss Finlay's Law and everything that really is happening.
Well, that's a big progression. She's the health minister, just for those who don't know. When is that going to be, Hazel? Do you know?
23rd of October,
Okay.
I believe.
So you have a date set. I'm sure you'll be well prepared for that. You've also called for a coroner's inquest. Has there been any progress on that? And I guess it's an obvious question, but what do you hope an inquest would accomplish?
So to answer your first question, we have not heard back other than that they are considering. So I think they get 60 days to come back and give an answer for a yes or no. So we're still waiting. As to what we hope to achieve is really that an in-depth investigation is carried out within the medical profession to look at what happened and what needs to be changed and reformed.
And obviously, that's also part of the reason why you and your family have filed a lawsuit against Halton Healthcare, which runs the hospital. This, I'm assuming, is a difficult decision to come to file a lawsuit like that. Same question, I think, Hazel. What's the goal of the lawsuit?
The goal is it's justice. It's accountability for what happened, that night, and what continues to be the repercussions of that in our lives, for us as a family, for the grandparents, for everybody who knew and loved Finlay.
Absolutely.
Hazel, the hospital has filed a statement of defense denying any wrongdoing and saying hospital staff provided, quote, reasonable care to your son. I know in these statements of defense are filed, there's cautionary language and legal ways to write things that they have to. But when you read a statement like that, reasonable care, what was it like for you to see those words and to read that?
Devastating. I remember reading them and being shocked and disappointed and so angry. And knowing that this is, of course, legal language, but it doesn't hit that way. We live this every day and every minute of every day, and certainly there was no reasonable care taken.
Obviously, you're doing this for the good of so many others, people you've never even met. You're trying to fight for change in the system, but it's a heavy burden, I can imagine, Hazel, for you to carry, even having conversations like this, having to repeat again what you and your family have gone through. What keeps you going as you try to hold that burden?
Well, firstly, thank you for recognizing that, because it is hard. It's if we have the possibility to ensure that another family does not have to go through this, then that will give us a little bit of a feeling of comfort that we've done something and that we used our voices for something good to come out of something that is so tragic. Hazel,
your case has received a lot of publicity. Have you heard from others with similar stories?
Yes, we have. I think this, by us going to the media, by creating Finlay's Voice, is also given a platform to others who have gone through similar things or had experiences within ER departments that have left them, with trauma. So it's heartbreaking to read these stories, but I'm glad that it's given hope to others that now is the time for things to change.
We've kind of asked this question a few different ways, but I just want to ask it one more time, Hazel. With this fight you're in, what does justice look like for you, where you can sit back and say, we did accomplish something that's tangible and meaningful?
When we see real change happening, we know that we're just at the start of this plight to reform things. So when those changes start happening, so when Finlay's Law comes in, when we have a better sepsis awareness program, there's so much. There's a lot of technology that can be brought into hospitals to help monitor better and alert staff as to, deterioration in a patient. And there's so much that can be done. And for us, I think it's just going to be a continuous plight to get those changes in.
Hazel, before we let you go, is there anything that we didn't cover tonight that you'd like to, or any message that you want to get out?
I want to just ask everybody to sign our petition that we do have. The more people we have signing that is a bigger statement from all of us that change is needed. We really want those voices behind us and supporting us. So that it's taken seriously. Please sign up and help support us.
All right. That's Hazel Vander Werken. Hazel, certainly Michael and I and our producer Derek in this room, we're all parents and can't imagine what you and your family have been going through and will continue to go through. And we said it off the top and we mean it. You're a very brave person for doing so, and we can't thank you enough for your time tonight.
Thank you. Take care.
Man, we've had some powerful conversations on this program, and I think that one just moved right to the top.
Absolutely. Hazel's a very brave lady. And we said it in the interview, but this is a story that's been in the national news now for months.
Yeah.
It's been on the cover of major newspapers because people really see this as a case that really sort of highlights just how bad the emergency system in Canada is. There are emergency rooms across the country. This is kind of like a flashing light of just how bad things are when you have a case like this where a 16-year-old kid shows up at Emerge and the next day he's dead.
And it's so relatable.
It's so relatable.
We've all brought our kids there.
We've all sat there and Emerge and be worried. And you can imagine she used the word terror, and you can't imagine what that's like. So I also can't overstate how brave you have to be and the burden on your shoulders. So I can't imagine losing a child, first of all, and then deciding as a family that they're going to use that tragedy for good. Yeah. And they're going to put it on their shoulders and try to make positive change for the rest of us, for the system.
For sure.
And that's a real commendable thing for Hazel and for her family. So I'm very grateful that we were able to have this conversation to be so that, hopefully people who hear it understand more about what's motivating this family, what they've gone through, and the changes they're hoping to make. Has
there been any comment from the hospital or the government?
Yes. So the Ford government in past, as this has made the news, called this case deeply tragic and unacceptable. The Ministry of Health, this is from the Ford government, the Ministry of Health expects every hospital to uphold the highest standard of patient care and to comply with requirements under the Public Hospitals Act relating to the response and review of critical incidents to ensure they never happen again. The hospital, Halton Healthcare, is also, on top of the statement of defense they filed in the lawsuit. The various statements they provided to our reporters at Burlington today include, like many hospitals, we are seeing more patients presenting with increasingly complex health conditions and comorbidities, often requiring longer stays and more intensive care. Like all hospitals, we have an on-call protocol to provide physician coverage in a range of circumstances, including unexpected absences, patient surges, and other urgent needs. We are committed to continuously improving our care through new initiatives, advanced technology, and most importantly, listening to the feedback of patients and families. I think we're going to hear a lot more feedback from patients and families as this case unfolds, and hopefully some of you who've listened today will have some stories to share that may help Hazel in her family's journey.
Yeah. All right. That's it for us tonight. Closerlookpodcast.ca, and certainly any comments on this episode or any others, we'd love to hear from you. Closer Look at villagemedia.ca. For Michael Friscanlandi, our editor-in-chief here at Village Media, I'm Scott Sexsmith. Thanks for watching. Enjoy what's left of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7, right here on Closer Look.
Frisco and Scott's Wardrobe provided in part by Moores, Sault Ste. Marie.